Oh, well, we're finally on now. So we just missed we missed the whole content.
What's up, man?
So we just went boom right into people's living rooms. So
Okay.
Well, welcome, I guess. Normally I have a countdown so I can be prepared, but Jay Staples, Kevin Peterson, we do Family Matters, sponsored by Kevin's home headquarters, Jaywalker Lodge, up in Carbondale, Colorado, and we do this every week to the best of our ability. I have been getting some feedback that we're kind of all over the map, but with times and days and stuff. But like I remind people, you can always watch the replay. So, but if you're joining in live, then welcome. If not, anyway, we do this to the best of our ability. So, well, Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Jay. How are you, man? It's good to see you, buddy.
Good. Well, obviously, I'm taking all the email hits for the show. So you just sit back and be the be the diva, be the what everyone comes to hear. Anyway, sponsored by Jaywalker Lodge. I think I already said that. Carbondale, Colorado. I've got, so even if they weren't sponsored, and even if Kevin did not currently rep Jaywalker Lodge, I think it's fair to say that Jaywalker is very unique in their investment within family, kind of the whole family department as a whole. But family recovery, family therapy, family healing, all under the same umbrella. I think we get a lot of people reaching out, and I know I do, working directly with families, and they're kind of uncertain too. So why don't let's talk about this with what kind of most people can expect at an average treatment facility, I guess, when it comes to family therapy, because not everybody does it like Jaywalker does. And it's actually shocking the little that some facilities even do around family recovery. So what would you say, just an average, a generic statement, what can families kind of expect when their loved one does go into treatment? They send Johnny off to treatment, and sometimes they're just kind of left high and dry. So what should families expect?
Well, so let me start with what the industry norm is, okay? And then we'll talk about Jaywalker.
That won't take too long.
Yeah. True. The industry norm is, say for a 30, 60, or 90-day program. And they will have a monthly or maybe a weekly meeting with the therapist, the client's therapist, right? And that always baffled me, why the family would be talking to the client's therapist. That's the client's therapist. How are they supposed to have any kind of thing there? And then maybe a weekly, group meeting, which, to be honest with you, most of them are not so awesome. They're challenging. And then they might have some sort of family engagement, whether it's like a weekly or monthly or every other month or whatever, and they can be all over the place. Sometimes they're super psychoeducational. Sometimes they actually do the stuff that I hate the most, which is when they throw them into the middle of a circle and have them slug it out in front of other people. Oh my God, it's so traumatic. Why would you do that to people? It's so horrid. I mean, it's hurtful. It's mean. And my whole, and so that is the norm. It's probably a weekly call from the therapist, sort of narking out the kid or the person, a pretty miserable weekly meeting, and then who knows what, a catch-all weekend experience, or weekend, whatever you want to call it. Everyone does it a little bit differently, right? Why is it once we get started, my phone starts blowing up? What is that?
People want in. People want your time.
Um, so when I started working at Jaywalker 2 years ago, I told them, I said, I'm happy to take over the program, but we're not doing this. If you want, here's what I'm coming in with, and here's my position. The individual therapist does not talk to the family. That their job is to work with the client only, and stay engaged with the client. There can't have a dual relationship or any kind of conflict there. What we need is someone like me, maybe two of us, that are marriage and family therapists that understand addiction, sobriety, recovery, et cetera, and we meet with the families weekly, and they have their own homework curriculum. And we talk about their emotions and their feelings about the fact that their person is in treatment and the stuff that's gone on with that and happened with that, and work within that structure. Okay. And that's what I did. And I also created a homework curriculum. And so that homework curriculum there's 6 sections: understanding addiction, understanding recovery, understanding codependency, understanding trauma, understanding family systems, and understanding mental health. That one. So the goal is for them to be learning the exact same things the guys are learning, so that when they can get together, they communicate. And there's a fundamental concept that we believe in at Jaywalker, is that if the family system doesn't change, the guy's not going to change. It's just that simple. So we do therapy with the family. We do a great Thursday night meeting, which, by the way, that Thursday night meeting, it's our support group. It's not us, dropping bombs of wisdom. It's them. They come into them. I'm like, what do you guys want to talk about? What's your concern? He doesn't talk to me. He won't call me. I don't understand. And then I let the other families answer it. I might, guide the conversation a bit, but I want them building a community together where they can rely on each other, because at some point they're not going to see me anymore. They're not going to be under the Jaywalker umbrella, and they're going to have to find their own gig. And then our family weekends go for 4 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I make them super educational. We have our clinical director, our CEO, who's a therapist, our psychiatric nurse practitioner. They come in and they talk about something specifically, like, addiction and attachment, medication, and how we address that. And they can ask any kind of question they want in those environments. And then I actually have a couple of people. I have a guy come in. One of our guys comes in. He's an alumni. He speaks. But it's my whole goal. We always tell people our goal for the family weekend is we're not going to fix everything. And we're not going to get in there and slug it all out. I just want you guys to start liking each other again. And then over time, because that's the first 90 days, the second 90 days we'll actually incorporate the client into the family therapy. And then we start talking about what's next and how we're doing it. But the first 90 days, he's got to be working on him. You got to be working on you. We got to change the way we're doing things. We can't just come back and slug it out. That's not going to work. That's a long answer, man. I'm sorry.
No. And all the while, I need to process the fact that I cannot read certain things now, and I have a pair of readers. So, yeah. So we got a comment, and I
do. I want me to read it.
I think I got it all.
Okay.
It also points out, you can read it. It also points out, like, people are a little upset that we don't have a set time. So we're going to have to work on that. Mainly my fault.
No, it's a team effort, baby. Now in our family system, Jay, that's not how we approach things. We don't throw blame and attack.
See what I did there? Now, here's the other. So let's go to perspective. If given the opportunity, I would send everybody through Jaywalker, and just to make your life miserable, quite frankly. I think they would get a lot of great treatment, and you would, anyway, that was the sideways jab. But let's go kind of the average here and so forth. And sure. I will bring to you a lot of common themes when I'm doing family recovery coaching calls. And this is mainly, some post-intervention, people are in treatment. I got some families that, some have said no, or some are out on the streets, but let's just talk about what you're talking about. You outline tremendous, like it would be amazing if everyone adopted the Jaywalker kind of family program. So, but here's the issue that I have, or a common issue with the family is, most doing these 30-day insurance-based treatment centers and so forth, they're getting halfway through, it's, entering the final week, and families like, well, I'm not even sure what the next plan is, where they're going. I talked to the therapist, and, they're open-ended and so forth like that. What I've noticed, and I'm not putting blame on the people's personal therapist, but mainly these aftercares are for the most part driven by the client or something like that. And what I think families either fail to realize, or even maybe are not even aware of, that they can raise their voice, not yelling, but they can call this facility and point out, like, hey, he is not welcome home. I want him to go into sober living. The treatment facility should support you 100%, but the treatment facility, most on average, we're going straight in the middle average. Most of these facilities, want their client, which is currently in treatment, to feel supported as well. So they're not going to be the bad cop or make these like, you must go to transitional program, you must go to sober living. They will say it if the family or outside resources need it, but I think the family needs to hear these words that it's all right for them to say he's not welcome back home.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you just defined most of my week this week. Is helping the family set the boundary that, let's just use Jaywalker example. We consider ourselves a year-long program. It's in 4 90-day segments. The first segment, starts out at what you would probably think is inpatient / PHP. Second segment, these are all 90-day segments. Second segment is IOP, all under our roof. Third segment, sober living, under our roof. That all comes with drug testing, accountability, therapy, psychiatry, groups, but we lower the rails at each spot. And the fourth 90-day segment is outpatient therapy only, and you can generally live where you want. Okay, so you can imagine that around day 60, the guys are like, I'm not doing this. And pre-Kevin, PK,
5 PK, 10 PK,
yeah,
good old times.
The guys and the therapists would make up the discharge plan, and it would just be like, a hope and a prayer. Well, you're going back to Houston. Well, let's go ahead and call this therapist and call this IOP program, and here's a list of meetings. Go get them, Tiger. Come on, the failure rate on that was dramatic, right? So what we have learned is the longer we keep you in our continuum, the better chance you have of staying sober after you leave, whether it's 6 months, 9 months, or a year. I know that sounds remedial, but it's just something you have to present. So what I spend a lot of my time doing is working with the families and coming back to your statement and showing them how to say, I love you, but the answer is no. And so there's three pillars of what I tell them to say, or what we talk about. One is, we're going to rely on the clinical judgment and recommendation of the team at Jaywalker. That tends to be, we have a meeting, right? We tend to have a meeting between 60 and 75 days. And we have a meeting, and it's the therapist, the guy, me, and the family. And the family goes first. The therapist goes first. The therapist says, here's what our recommendation is. And the recommendation is that you stay for another 90 days. That's just because you need to. You're not ready. Now, some guys have families, and that's a whole different story. Don't get me wrong. But you're just not ready to go home, and based upon our statistics, you're going to relapse. So no. Then mom and dad get to say, okay, well, we're gonna follow the recommendations of Jaywalker, and we believe in that system, and we will fund that, but we won't fund anything else. And then the guy gets to talk, and he gets to say, I mean, sometimes they come with a plan, like, hey, I researched this, I did this, and that's great. We're still going to be like, yeah, you want to go somewhere where you don't know anybody, you don't know the therapist, and let's be honest, you're not going to go, and so we want you to stay here and get engaged, and deeper engaged. Same therapy, everything's the same. And then that's where conflict occurs, right? So the three things the family says is we're gonna trust the judgment of the Jaywalker clinical team. And when the guy starts saying, "Well, I have no," the answer then is, "We love you," and the answer is no. And then the third statement is, if you choose to leave, you can do that, but you will do that without our support. We will turn off your phone. We will, no car insurance. No, there's no house, there's no room here for you. Your apartment's been cleaned out. The car's been sold. Let's be clear. We're committed. And sometimes the guys, I get it. But let's be clear. This has been talked about long before this. This is not a one surprise. This has been an ongoing conversation the entire time. So it's about teaching the family how to, like you said, have good boundaries, talk about what they want, and say, we're not ready for you to come back. You're certainly not coming back to this house. And we want to see you get a year of sobriety, and then we can talk. That was a lot.
Quite frankly, I think I zoned out halfway through because you trigger my brain. And
oh God.
And it's something we were kind of talking about, in our 2-minute lead up pre-show, but I don't even know how my brain is going a million. So you hear, I don't know what here's what I'm trying to say is the challenging of the addict alcoholic. I think, where has that gone? And do you think like what you were just saying, like you were kind of saying like this, the client at Jaywalker, has a plan, wants to do it. And, you guys, I know your staff well enough to say like, no, you're not, you're trying to manipulate and so forth like that. Now that is not common. And then we also are expecting mom and dad or loved ones to call out the addict as well, with really no education. And sometimes I feel the family is kind of left out on an island, mm-hmm. when the treatment facility, i.e. therapist or, whoever it may be, case manager, whatever the role's being, is somewhere along the lines. I get it. You're there to help and support, and you need the client open, honest, and talking. But there comes a time, right? Our treatment, I'll just ask, are treatment facilities, in your opinion, holding back with that blunt accountability, calling out the manipulation, calling out, no, you don't get to say that?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I was literally just talking to my boss about that today. And here's the thing. The majority of therapists that work with the guys are individual therapists. They're not marriage and family therapists. They're not taught to see the system. They're taught to focus on the individual. And that's what they're supposed to do, okay? And that works just great in every other world and arena of therapy except addiction. You need to focus with them and make connection with them, but you also have to have high levels of accountability, because addicts lie, they manipulate. It's especially addicts that are newly sober, because they're going to do everything they can to get where they want to go. So one of the things we're doing, we're kind of instituting like a mini MFT camp with a therapist, where about once or twice a month, me and the other LMFTs sit down and talk to them about, hey, look, I want you to understand something. It's okay for you to hold them accountable. I know you think that's going to break your therapeutic alliance and they're going to get mad at you. It's okay for them to be mad at you.
Yeah.
You're their therapist. They should be mad at you. You're not there to be their buddy. You're there to hold them accountable and challenge them, because we only have them for a limited amount of time. And that's the most important thing to remember, is that you can still make connection with them and hold them. It kind of reminds me of a sponsor there, Jay, to a certain degree, where my sponsor loves me, but he doesn't let me slide, man.
Yeah.
And by the way, the therapist I have, I think she thinks I'm great. I don't know. But she holds me accountable, and she has no problem with that. I get homework,
Yeah.
And
well, it's the age. Like, some of the best things I learned while in treatment, or clinical or something, it took a few years to finally sink in. But you're right in the saying, like, I don't think therapists. I think there's a healthy balance, and it's not about holding them accountable. But yes, I think most people respect the therapist more if there is holding, accountability enters it, and they're also able to kind of decipher, hey, yeah, Jay may need the loving touch today. Like, he doesn't necessarily need the in your face, throw it up, his words. He just kind of, and he can be that kind of therapist, but also, remind me that you don't get to just kind of run the show at the same time. Do you realize you're being selfish in this moment? I get it. Like, you can justify and go to bat for me, but also casually mention, but you also realize you're being very selfish in this. And it's like, yeah, that is a healthy balance. And I think the really good therapists, quite frankly, I'll just say this, the really good therapists are no longer working at facilities. They've got their own private practice.
So, well, yeah. That's kind of one of the things.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing is I totally get what you're saying, is that, I actually used to go back to my school in Denver, Regis, and the woman who taught addiction stuff was like, hey, I want you to come talk to the class. I'm like, all right, what do you want me to tell them about? You want me to tell them my story? You want me to tell them the therapy? She's like, tell them everything. And so I would be like, let me tell you about myself. And then I went to grad school, and now I have a private practice, because I did 3 years in a community mental health facility, where I have to admit I was making $38,000 a year. Okay. That was in 2014. I could not pay my bills. Okay. So I was like, see ya. And then, a lot of people were like, well, why don't you go work for a treatment center? Yeah. You know what they pay? $45,000 a year. Yeah. That didn't work for Kevin, and not that I'm looking to be, insanely well. You're not going to be insanely wealthy, but you can make a good living, So anyway, I would go talk to these guys and be like, look, I know that they're teaching you to be, unconditional positive regard, and, can help your client find agency and be on their team and be on their side. And I think that's great. I said, but you got to understand something. 90% of the other people that you're talking to aren't lying to you. They're not hustling you. They're not trying to use you to get what they want from their family or their system or something else, and addicts and alcoholics, the other 10%, that's exactly what they're doing. And if you don't push back on them and very gently hold them and be like, no, not doing that, they will run right over you. And they will get you to do whatever they want.
And won't respect you.
No respect whatsoever. It's like kids.
Yeah, it is.
Because they are. But you got to hold them accountable, and you can do it with love and compassion and empathy. It doesn't have to be the big stick, It can very much be love and empathy and compassion, and say, hey, I love you, but we're not going to do it this way. We tried that before, and most of the guys at Jaywalker, this is not their first rodeo. Okay. Yeah, and we've tried this before, and we're not doing that again. We're going to change the system, which will hopefully help you change the way you go about things. But if you choose not to, that's your choice. You're just going to do it without our support.
Yeah. I definitely think it's gone. And then on the flip side of that is, I think too often it's being, forced, I don't know if it's the right word, on mom and dad or the loved one to be the strong arm or the one calling, the actions out or something like that. I think I think mom and dad there's a place for that, but they also need encouragement and guidance and coaching and treatment facilities. I just say, let's just say average. I'm not going to, say all or never, but I would say a lot of the mid-tier kind of treatment facilities, you don't get that accountability. You don't get that calling out. And I'm not, let's just not pick on therapists either. I'm talking in group work. I'm talking, the techs. I'm talking about day-to-day interaction. So this isn't just a finger point at therapists one-on-one. Take opportunities to do all in group and then process it in one-on-one, or there's always ways around it. You clinicians are clever people, but I mean the techs too, holding them accountable and not just being their best friend. So I think, we're in a business, and sometimes I think let's keep them comfortable so they stay is kind of the corporate motto sometimes. And that's not doing anyone a favor.
No, not at all. And I also tell you that they don't invest in family programs. You know what happens when you invest in family programs? They don't come back. The guys they don't relapse. They get better, And so, if I'm a 30-day program that survives off insurance and knowing that these guys are going to come back 2, 3, 4 times, why the hell would I put money on this guy who's going to teach the family how to hold them accountable and not keep paying me,
Oh, that Kevin Peterson always causing Jesus.
Troublemaker.
Jesus.
Through the pot, baby.
Well, we're still on the air next week, some of these big dogs, they go after the little man, but we do this to the best of our abilities on Fridays, right around this time.
Yeah.
So we will try to commit. I'm not even making it. I've been probably 6, 7 people now in the last week and a half have pointed out it's very tough, but you can always watch a replay. You can always respond on the replay, and we will get to it that following week. You can email, you can direct message, or whatever the kids say. But anyway, Kevin, always a pleasure. So
you too, buddy.
If we're still on, if we haven't been taken down, because Kevin shaking the bushes.
Going after the man, baby. Going after the man.
Always Kevin.